So I've decided today's video I'm going to become the Demogorgon. Specifically the Demogorgon from Stranger Things. Not so much actual D&D Demogorgon. But I can't do this one with stuff I already have. I need some things. So we're gonna go to Michael's, pick up some stuff, and then we're gonna start the making process. Okay, where would I find Plaster Gauze, do you think? Oh, it's up there! How am I supposed to get it down? Oh, I have to go find an employee, don't I? I need red yarn as well, and cheapest red yarn is also on the top shelf. Great, awesome. Fantastic, 10 out of 10. Okay, so I have all the pieces to make the Demogorgon, but what I need first is I need like a base face layer. So we're gonna like attempt to create like a plaster mask. I have a bowl of water here. I was worried this would wreck whatever bowl I use, so I'm using my own hair dye bowl so that if I wreck it, no one can get mad at me. I've actually taken the whole idea for how I'm doing this part of the video from a channel called Elimac. Now, Elimac is a channel here on YouTube known for special effects makeup, but occasionally Elimac likes to do stuff that other YouTubers and other people deem unsafe. Now, I totally agree with some of them. I think they use raw meat on someone's face in one of the videos. Like, they get nasty. Now, this one might also prove to be unsafe. We're going to try it anyway. So basically what we're going to do is I'm going to Vaseline my eyebrows. Glue my eyebrows. Vaseline my whole face. Remember when the soap brow thing was really big on YouTube a couple of months ago? Why didn't glue brows ever catch on? So now before I Vaseline my face and put gloves on, we're just going to open this. So this plaster wrap is by a brand called Craft Smart. Okay, so it wants me to fill a container with warm water, which I did. Dip plaster strip one piece at a time. Lift strip from water and run fingers through in a downward motion so I get rid of all the excess. So now I guess I have to roll some of this out and cut some strips. It's making a damn mess. So now before we do this, we're going to go into the Vaseline. Vaseline my face. And this is where Voiceover Abby is going to take over. Hey, how you doing? I never really meant for this video to be a voiceover, but it just ends up being easier because this video ended up taking me a couple of days to shoot, start to finish, just to let things dry and that sort of thing. So, here we are. So, I historically hate plastering my face at all. It was actually a class project we did when I was a kid, and I was the only one in my whole class who hated it. And I don't like the feeling of plaster on my face, and it makes a huge mess in the area around you, but I did it for this video. I actually think that in Ellie Mac's video, they don't make the mask like this. They use a face cast. I don't have a need to have a face cast yet because I don't do enough stuff like this, but I would totally make one someday if I decided it was worth it. I think to make a face cast, all you do is you basically do this, and then once you have that hard mask at the end, you just fill it with plaster and call it a day. I don't know, I mean, we'll see. Maybe someday I'll make one. So I just end up doing like a thin layer of plaster all over my face around here. I don't really need it to be thick, really shoving it in there. And then I'm just showing you here that I set a timer on my phone for 20 minutes. During that 20 minutes, it was very hard not to move my face, but I did my best. I tried my best to also clean up the area that I had been working in, all of that. The fortunate thing about this stuff is it's meant for kids and their science projects, so it actually does dry pretty fast. So after 20 minutes, I just started wiggling my face around. It was pretty easy to pop off. As you can see, it definitely made a little bit of a mess behind on my face, but all of that came off easily with warm water. Next came the next step of this whole project, and mistake number one on my half. So I used wire, and I made the petal shapes, and then I used masking tape to kind of build onto the petals and to make them whole rather than just wire shells. Now, my issue is that I measured it to the mask, but I didn't make them wide enough. So the end result, the petals are a little too skinny, in my opinion. They should have been bigger, and they should have almost overlapped, but I didn't make them wide enough, and if anything, I made them too long. So, learn from my mistakes, double, triple, quadruple measure. They all end up being pretty much the same size, so it's not like they're super uneven. I just made them too skinny and too long. But it still worked. It's not like it was awful. It still worked in the end. So what I'm doing here is I'm just laying down strips of masking tape, really making sure I fold it over the edges, and then every now and then I flip over the whole petal and do the other side so it'll stop sticking to the table. And I did this for all 5 petals. It took me a couple of hours in total and 2 rolls of masking tape, but we got through it. Next, what I did, I had to make the teeth for the petals. So I bought a 100 pack of, like, translucent whitish fingernails, like fake nails, and I cut each nail into 3 pieces to be teeth. So that's what the teeth on the petals are at the end, is fake nails cut into 3. I actually ended up buying 2 packages, so I had 200 nails originally, turned into 600 teeth. I took them to work and cut them there, and, you know, it was easy, it was cheap, and it was what I had. So what I'm doing here is I'm plastering the petals onto the mask. I figured it'd be easier to do that before I started painting them and making them look really cool. So first what I'm doing is I'm taping them down with masking tape to the mask just to kind of help hold them in place, and then I'm using my leftover plaster gauze in some water to really help adhere them. I figured the plaster was pretty much the only thing that I had that would be strong enough to hold them onto the mask, and because the mask is made of plaster, it was just the easiest to use the rest of the roll. Made the most sense to me, to be honest. Then after that, something I have no footage of for some reason, I cut a whole bunch of yarn into strips there to add to the petals after we're done painting them here to add some texture. Now I'm just pouring out a whole bunch of liquid latex. And then another mistake I made was when I add flour to liquid latex here, I didn't add enough. If I had added more, it would have been chunkier and the leaves would have dried looking, or petals I guess, would have dried looking cooler, but I didn't add enough. So learn from my mistake there as well. I'm adding some food color. I added a ton of red and a little bit of green just to kind of darken it and make it look a little less red. Mix that all together as best you can, and then I added a little more red, as you can see there. And then I'm literally just going to paint onto the petal. See, you see how you can, like, see through it, how it's a little bit thin? I think it would have been thicker if I had added more flour. So if I ever did this again for some reason, I would know to add more flour. But it didn't turn out awful. Now I'm just laying down some strips of yarn, and you kind of push it in with your finger after into the liquid latex mixture to kind of help stick it in. This is just so that when I have the whole thing done and it catches the light, there's some different textures going on in there. Now I'm laying down some of those nail pieces as teeth. I tried really hard to get them all going the same way, but it was really hard because they were sticking to my gloves and also to the petals at the same time. So I did my best. Made sure they were all definitely going up and down, but just wasn't totally sure that the base was always at the base. Whatever, I did my best. Then after that, I just continued that same method with the rest of the leaves. Petals, I mean, leaves, you know what I mean. So did this whole shebang 5 times, and then onto the face. So I basically remade that same mixture, but I added some more green to it and a little bit of blue, just to kind of darken it up more so that there was some depth, some difference between the color of the face and the color of the petals. And now I'm just painting it on. I do have this on my kitchen table on top of newspaper so that when it drips through the holes in the eyes and the nose, it doesn't get on the table. Fortunately, with liquid latex, it is pretty easy to clean up because when it dries, it just peels off. But I wasn't sure about the food coloring, so better safe than sorry, right? So I'm just painting it on here, and then I will go in after I have all the liquid latex on it and add a whole bunch of teeth to the face as well. I let all that dry overnight, and then the next day I took a little mixture here of water, black paint, and red paint, and I kind of wanted to go through some of the spots that had dried a little too thin to kind of darken them up and to add some shadow and some texture to the actual paint job, I guess you could call it. So using a sponge with a torn up end and a little tiny paintbrush, I just kind of went through each of the petals and on the face to add some shadow and some color depth. I am by no stretch of the word an artist, so I was literally just guessing here and doing my best. The only way we can get better at things is by practice, right? And by trying my best, so don't judge me for this terrible paint job and this terrible shadow job. I honestly was trying my best. Once that was done, I figured it was time to put it on. So I bought this bald cap from Spirit Halloween. 0 out of 10, would not recommend. It didn't even fit my head. It had these weird ear hole cutouts, so it didn't really reach my ears. That one side flap didn't stay down. Don't buy this one. It's awful. I painted myself with a light foundation so that I would be pale. My chest, my face, my ears, everything, even though it occurred to me after I didn't have to do my face because I'm putting a mask on. I then went into my crown brush palette and started to hollow out my shoulder blades and my neck, and it ended up being completely useless because it's all covered up by the mask anyway, so wasted step, but I figured I should show you just so you know that I wasted time. Then I take my NYX Jumbo Eye Pencil in the shade Black Bean, and I just really wanted to go around my eyes and my nostrils as messily as possible, looking a little bit Agretsuko, just so that when I have the mask on, you can't see any sort of exposed skin. I do try to keep my eyes closed for most of the shots, but really, this is just the best way to mask it all. And then after that, just put on the mask. I mean, it should fit your face perfectly if you use the plaster method, right? I have to admit, it's really hard to wear this mask and try to focus a camera, so if any of these shots are a little bit out of focus, I'm so sorry. I did my absolute best. Overall, I don't hate how it turned out. Like I said, I don't think I made the petals wide enough. I wish I had made them wider, like that one on the side there, that's slightly bigger. I wish I had made them all that width, and then they would have slightly overlapped. And then I wish I wouldn't have made them so long either. But other than that, I don't hate it. I don't think I did an awful job. Those are definitely just two things that I would do differently in the future. I really hope you liked this video. Thank you so much for watching. Give it a thumbs up and subscribe. And I'll see you next time. Bye!